The Chicago Bulls last night lose ugly to the Philadelphia 76ers. And on nights like the one last night, they happen. But as DeMar DeRozan clearly put it, Zach LaVine was missed in the game like last night. I know some of y'all don't want to hear it, but you got to hear it anyway. But before we talk about it, you got to hear the music first.
Cognac. Gang.
Shy Bulls podcast with the Cognac Boys. I'm Cognac Boy Bobby, and I'm holding it down on another episode of Shy Bulls podcast with me and my co-host C-Dub. If you're tuning in with me today, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell as well. Last night, your Chicago Bulls lose ugly, embarrassing. It was not good at all. 110-97 on the night to where Joel Embiid turned and made chop suey out of Andre Drummond, working inside, outside, passing to the point to where the man got a triple-double. A triple-double for Joel Embiid, and he looked virtually unstoppable. Bulls had no answers. I understand Billy Donovan tried to throw things out there, tried to throw different defensive coverages out there for Joel Embiid. But Billy Donovan, it ain't going to work if you're trying to put a 6'4" Terry Taylor out there against Joel Embiid. It's just not going to work. I know they were calling for Adama Sanogo. I'm rightfully so. You could have tried to see what he could do with some size. But that just didn't happen. That just didn't happen. And on a night like last night, ladies and gentlemen, this is where you miss players like Zach LaVine. Would it have changed the outcome of the game? Probably not. Who knows? Who knows? But DeMar DeRozan said it best for everybody. We could have used that 20 to 25, 30 points tonight. Give another dynamic focal point of scoring and playmaking. At the end of the day, it's still Zach LaVine, says DeMar DeRozan. And it holds to be true. It holds to be true because it is Zach LaVine. I understand that it's been a lot of fun watching the Chicago Bulls team, play up and down the court, run, play hard on the defensive side, show effort. But nights like last night is where you needed stars. This is the NBA, ladies and gentlemen. And it's all fun and games. It's all fun and games when you're seeing like, man, Kobe White is going crazy. Ayo Dosunmu's going crazy. Look at P. Will. But at the end of the day, these guys are still young guys, and they're still trying to find their way. Kobe White was on a hot streak. That hot streak has fizzled out a little bit. I'm pretty sure he can come out of this. But while he's trying to come out of this, you need a star on this, another star on this side, or another guy that has the scoring ability to take pressure off of him and be able to draw some of that attention away so Kobe White can slowly or gradually come out of this and be a scoring guy, be a scoring punch that we know he can be. Kobe White hasn't been the same since the defensive coverages have been changing a lot, and the focal point has been on Kobe White. We're going to get the ball out of his hands. We're going to do the best thing that we can to not let him dribble down the lane. And when it comes to three-point shooting, we know you've been hot, Kobe White, but we are going to do our best to run you off this three-point line, and man, has it worked. Kobe White, from his shooting percentages, have dropped a lot since the defensive focuses from the opposing team have been focused on him. Same can be said about Ayo Dosunmu and Patrick Williams. Yes, they have their moments, but that consistency is still there. That inconsistency, is still there. That's why you need players like Zach LaVine on nights like the night against the Philadelphia 76ers. Don't get me wrong. I know we can point to, before the loss to the Philadelphia 76ers, a 10-5 record to where the Bulls look better. They absolutely did look better. Better ball movement. The ball is not sticking to one person's hands, et cetera, et cetera. A number of reasons where we could point to and say, man, this team is playing better. But on paper and what we know, they're not better. That's just what it is. The style of the play style looks better. But again, this is the NBA. You need stars to win. Can you win a few games? And without your stars, absolutely. You can win a few games without your stars. But at the end of the day, stars get the job done. And when things get tough for the Chicago Bulls, like last night, you need Zach LaVine scoring ability. A guy who could have, easily carried the load while everything else was going wrong, who could have carried the load until maybe a spark could have hit some type of player or one of the other Chicago Bulls player, and that said player could have came up and rose up and kind of assisted in a way, but not lead the charge. Zach LaVine is that guy who can lead the charge. And I understand we had the conversations. Do you bring Zach back? Do you allow Zach to come back to this team? Does he ever suit up for the Chicago Bulls after 15 games? Probably not. You know what I'm saying? And what most of us believe will be a difficult situation, and it might not be the best situation for him if the Bulls come out and they start losing games. But the point is that things have been getting real tight for the Chicago Bulls. You know what I'm saying? Especially last night. The Bulls could have used them. A few games ago on December 28th when we played the Indiana Pacers and we lost 120 to 104. Then Patrick Williams was the leading scorer in that game with 22. Zach LaVine could have been used. Against the Cleveland Cavs when we lost with no Donovan Mitchell, 109-95. We lost that. DeMar DeRozan leading scorer with just 21 points. A few added points from a guy like Zach LaVine could have probably flipped the scale. Could have probably not. It could have still been a shit show. Literally, it could have still been that. But at the end of the day, it's just much, much different than what we like to believe. And I think that once we get past all the hype, all the fandom, when we realize what is taking place here is that I truly at this point understand what Acme means by, hey, we need win now players. Because yes, you want your young guys to develop, but they're not there yet. That's just what it is. They are not there yet. Kobe White still has to figure out how to navigate through opposing teams coming in and really focusing on him to try to take him away from the games. And he's been struggling. So that bodes to be true. They're trying to take him out of the games, and a lot of the times he's been taken out of the game. Is he still doing other things well? Absolutely. But for the most part, he's been taken out of the games. So that's just some of the things that I'm really, really considering. It might not be a bad idea to have Zach LaVine come back and play for this team. I already said it on one of the last episodes that I did with C Dub. It's something, to look at it, everything in totality and say, hey, we know what Zach LaVine is. We know what he can bring to the team. And that's what really matters. Looking at everything. It was fun, bro. It was fun. It's not being fun anymore. You know what I'm saying? Especially with all things considered. I understand there are injuries to other players. There's injuries to a lot of players. You know what I'm saying? Patrick Williams left out of the game yesterday with the ankle injury. Nikola Vucevic is sitting down with a groin injury. Torrey Craig is down with a foot injury. You know what I'm saying? Injuries. And we know they will be a lot more fun. But just imagine if you added Zach LaVine to this dynamic, regardless of all the trade talk or whatever, you still want to see good basketball for the Chicago Bulls. And I understand there will be some people that come out and say, hey, nights like this happen. You absolutely right. Nights like yesterday happen. But when you look at some of these shooting outputs from the Chicago Bulls, it has not been good. You know what I'm saying? They doing duds, and they're not hitting that three ball like you want them to hit that three ball at this particular moment. And when the going gets tough, you want players who can make things happen and who are proven. So if you want to win basketball games, don't get me wrong. I agree with you guys. It was ugly to start. It was ugly. But for the time being, until all things get sorted out between Zach LaVine and his front office to see who's going to come in and be a replacement, there's one thing for sure. We need good replacements if you're going to replace. We need good replacements. The Bulls are stretched thin, literally, like thin. So when Zach LaVine is set to return, we got to keep it a buck. We have to keep it a buck. We need him, at least for the moment. At the very least, we need him for the moment. And nights like last night is the reason why you miss Zach LaVine. You miss everything that he can bring to you offensively. The Bulls showed effort defensively. The Bulls showed a lot of things defensively. It just wasn't enough. And when the opposing team is making shots and you're showing effort on the defensive end, you need to make shots and keep pace. I mean, eventually those stops will start to come, but for the most part, you need to keep pace. The Bulls wasn't keeping pace last night, hence why the game was pretty much over in the second quarter. Pretty much. Joel Embiid was eating Laffy Taffies on walking back on the court, bro. That should tell you everything you know. Joel Embiid was eating Laffy Taffies coming back from the bench, bro. That should tell you everything you need to know. The Bulls, they are fun. But right now, they need that extra punch, man. That's what it really is. I don't know. It's still going to be a lot of fun, and the Bulls got a great opportunity tonight to bounce back. They do, and I believe they will. But I still think that some of the things that we've seen, if we want to look at the wins, that's fine. We can look at the wins, but we have to look at how they're winning. There's a lot of tough things going on, and it's a lot of tough conversations to be had, especially with the Chicago Bulls and what's been going on, the last few games. You look at all that, you look at all things considered, and you say, hey, put the man's back in there. Let's see what happens. Maybe we could be better off. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But hey, that's pretty much it for me today, y'all. Just wanted to go ahead and let y'all know that Zach LaVine was missed last night. And that's what it was. I'm not saying he still has to be here for the foreseeable future. But until the Chicago Bulls figure out a way to find some win-now players, to find good replacements for Zach LaVine, he should be on the court, y'all. That's just what it is. He should be on the court to help these young guys too. And I hope there is buy-in. A lot of us want there to be buy-in. Let's make that clear. We want it to be buy-in. We want him to buy in to see if we can make this thing work. And it might not. But at the same time, that player needs to be on the court for the Chicago Bulls right now. That's just what it is. But hey, that's it for me today. Thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of Shy Bulls Podcast. Make sure if you tuned in today, you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. If you want to sound off on my take or give your own take, call in 773-242-9219. This is another episode of Shy Bulls Podcast. I'm Bobby. I'm going to catch y'all on the next one for sure.
Cognac. Gang.